Well, hello everyone. About a week ago, a little longer, there was a John 3:16 day that was spread all through social media all over the world on the 16th of March. And a lot of people were wondering, what exactly is that? What does it mean? What is this all about? And so Lisa decided she wanted to put something up on her website that would help people understand what that's all about. And so this is our effort to help you understand what that means and to you and to those around you. So what was John 3:16 day all about? Christians all around the planet used social media on March 16th this year to tell the world about what Jesus did for the world. In John chapter 3, verses 16 to 18, we're told, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God." Now, many people have heard or seen this verse during their lifetime, and some have believed the message and acted on it. Some have ignored the message entirely. Some refuse to even consider the message, and that would be a big mistake. Let me explain what this verse is saying to every one of us. To begin, let me tell you the story of mankind. In the beginning, God created. In that process, he created man in the person of Adam. Adam was perfect. He lived in a perfect world. God made a wife for Adam, and her name was Eve. And in spite of living in a perfect, eternal body, in a perfect world, Eve chose to believe the lie of Satan, the devil. She disobeyed the command of God. In her defense, she was deceived. Satan, the deceiver, tricked her into eating of the forbidden fruit. Adam came on the scene and saw what happened to Eve. We have to realize that both Adam and Eve were covered in glory. They didn't wear clothes, they just glowed because they were perfect, absolutely perfect. When she sinned and by disobeying God, she lost her glory because of the sin. And she could no longer live in God's presence for all of eternity. Her body had begun the death process. An eternal body that could never die had begun to die because of sin. Now, Adam made a conscious decision to also eat of the forbidden fruit so he could remain with Eve. So he wasn't deceived. He made a decision to disobey God. And the sin that Adam committed has been passed down through his seed to every single human being ever born. It passed through him all the way to Noah and his family, who were the only ones that survived the flood. And then it continued on through Noah all the way to this day, to each and every one of us and our children and the children that we'll have. So knowing how all of this was going to play out before he ever created man, God had a plan and he put it into action. He would send his son, Jesus, to come as a man, to live in a perfect, sinless life, to willingly go to the cross to pay the price for our sins, die, be resurrected, return to heaven, and make salvation and eternity in heaven available to every one of us, all of mankind. And that in a nutshell is what John 3:16 is all about. We have a choice. We can choose to accept God's offer of salvation and eternity in heaven, which is available to everyone, or we can choose to ignore or reject the offer and spend eternity in the lake of fire. Now, the next piece of this is what's coming to the earth. Because people hear about this, we're hearing about it a lot these days. What's coming to earth is a period of 7 years, which the Bible refers to by several names: the Great Tribulation, God's wrath, Jacob's or Israel's trouble. It'll be a period with catastrophic events never seen before in the history of the earth. And let me outline the events that are coming for you so you have a good understanding of what all of this is. You've heard of the apocalypse and the battle of Armageddon, the mark of the beast and 666 and all of these things. God has told us this is what's coming in the final 7 years of mankind on this earth. So they begin in the book of Revelation in chapter 6 with the seal judgments. And we're told the first judgment, the Antichrist, is going to arrive on the scene and bring in a false peace. Then war will break out. There'll be famine and death. 1/4 of the world's population will die, roughly 2 billion people. The heavens and the earth will be shaken. And it ends with 30 minutes of silence in heaven. These judgments are followed by the trumpet judgments. And in the trumpet judgments, 1/3 of all the trees and the grass on the entire planet will be destroyed. 1/3 of the sea life and all the ships will be destroyed. 1/3 of all the fresh water will be destroyed. 1/3 of the sun, the moon, and the stars will be darkened. And then what's called the first woe, demonic locusts will be released from the pit of hell. Fire, brimstone, and another 1/3 of the population will die, which would be an additional 2 billion people. And at that point, the 7th trumpet judgment releases the bowl judgments. So even up to this point, the first half of the 7-year tribulation period, half the population of the earth will have died, possibly more. And then the final judgments will hit. They're called the bowl judgments. Oozing, terrible boils will break out on the people who receive the mark of the beast. All sea life will be destroyed. All water will be poisoned. The sun will scorch the bodies of all mankind. The earth will go completely dark. The Euphrates River will dry, making way for a 200 million army coming into the valley of Armageddon. And it will be finished with the largest earthquake in the history of the earth. Cities worldwide will be destroyed, and there'll be 100-pound hailstones. Have you had enough yet? We're going to end this first part of this video at this point, and we'll pick it up again in part 2, where I'll cover, can we see this coming now? And how can I escape what's coming? In part 2, I'll give you a couple of ways that you can share the gospel with those who are unsaved, or how to get saved if you're not already. So I hope you'll watch